We are fundamentally altering their brain's reward circuitry. We are creating a generation of dopamine junkies, and the consequences are terrifying.
Welcome to the Strong Dad Show with your host, Adam Lloyd. Together, we are stronger.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Strong Dad Show. I want you to think about a time you've walked into any cafe, any restaurant, any public space where families gather. And I want you to think about what you observed. And maybe this is something you can do the next time you walk into a cafe or a restaurant or a public space. I want you to observe. What do you see? And I'll tell you what you'll typically see. You'll see a scene that has become so normal, so ubiquitous that we don't even notice it anymore. You'll see children, toddlers even, sitting at a table with their parents, but they're not present. Their little fingers are swiping, they're tapping, they're tracing patterns on just a glowing screen. They are silent, they are still, and they are perfectly behaved, which is the reason for it. And their parents are just enjoying a moment of peace, a moment of quiet, a moment to have an adult conversation, or just to stare at their own phones in silence and tap and swipe and draw patterns. Now, this is the age of what's being termed as the digital pacifier. The iPad, the smartphone, the tablet, these have become the default tools of modern parenting. A tool to, and again, before I get into this, I want you to understand that I'm not pointing fingers here because we do it ourselves. When we go to a restaurant, the kids like to watch an iPad and we get a bit of quiet time. But there are boundaries which I think people should apply, which we'll discuss in today's show. But like I said, iPads are being used as a tool to soothe a tantrum, which I think is a massive no-no. You don't give your kid a treat for being naughty. A tool to keep a child quiet in a restaurant, that, again, I'm open to that. If that's what your child likes, it gives them a better time and it gives us a better time, happy days. And similarly to that restaurant scenario, it's a tool to buy us a few precious minutes of just peace and quiet, okay? We hand our children these devices and they work like magic. The crying stops, the whining ceases. The chaos is almost contained, and it's easy and it's effective, and it is, without a doubt, one of the most catastrophic mistakes that we are making as parents. And again, I say we because we do it ourselves. Elle and I do this ourselves, and it's something that we're working on. Essentially, what we are doing is outsourcing our parenting to a screen. We are trading short-term peace for a long-term disaster, ultimately. We are willingly plugging our children into a machine that is designed to addict them, to distract them, to rewire their brains, and to rob them of their childhood. And we're doing it because we are tired, we are stressed, and we have been sold the lie that this is normal. And again, I still say we because we do the same. I'm in no better position than you, and it's something that we're working on. So today we're going to try and smash up the digital pacifier. We are going to expose the devastating impact that excessive screen time is having on our children's brains, their bodies, and their souls. Something that I've been researching over the last couple of weeks before I put this episode together. And we're then going to have a practical, no bullshit battle to reclaim your children from the clutches of the algorithm. So let's get into it. Let's be brutally honest to start then about what these devices are. They are not neutral tools. They are not simply digital books or educational toys. The apps, the games, the videos, they are designed by armies of psychologists and engineers with one goal in mind: to capture and hold your child's attention for as long as possible. They are engineered to be addictive. They use the same techniques as a slot machine, really. Just intermittent rewards, bright colours, loud noises, the endless novel scroll, every like, every new level, every new character, every short, fast-paced video, and is going to deliver that tiny hit of dopamine to your child's brain. And dopamine is the molecule for reward and motivation. And when a child's brain is flooded with this constant, easy, unearned dopamine from a screen, the real world can no longer compete. Doing hard things for reward is no longer a thing. It's no longer a thing that they'd consider. Why would a child choose to struggle with the difficult and frustrating task of building a Lego tower when he can get an instant, effortless sense of achievement from a game on an iPad? Why would he or she choose to sit through the boring parts of a family conversation when he can have an endless stream of high-energy, fast-cutting cartoons on YouTube Kids? We are fundamentally altering their brain's reward circuitry. We are creating a generation of dopamine junkies, and the consequences are terrifying. So let's look at the death of attention. The ability to focus on a single task, to concentrate, to think deeply is a superpower in this modern world. And screens are destroying it. The constant switching between apps, the rapid pace of videos, it's training our children's brains for distraction. I mean, there's even children, us as adults, it trains our brains for distraction. We are creating a generation that is incapable of deep thought, of sustained focus, of boredom. And boredom can be powerful. And boredom is the crucible of creativity. And then we move on to the rise of anxiety and depression. Studies are now showing a clear and undeniable link between high screen time and poor mental health in children and adolescents. They are living in a curated world of digital perfection which breeds comparison and anxiety. They are being exposed to content that is not age appropriate, and they are losing the ability to connect with real human beings, which is the primary source of our psychological well-being. And finally, we look at the decline of physical health. Every hour spent on a screen is an hour not spent running, jumping, climbing, or playing. We are seeing a generation of children with poor posture, weak core muscles, and declining physical literacy. They are becoming physically fragile because they are living disembodied lives through a screen. So what do we do? What can we do? We, the fathers, must lead this fight. We must be the gatekeepers. We must be the ones who have the courage to say no. And here is a 4-step battle plan for reclaiming your family from the screen. Number 1, you must lead by example. This is the hardest part, but this is the most powerful part. You cannot tell your children to get off their screens if you are constantly staring at your own. Your phone is the biggest threat to your fatherhood. It is robbing you of your presence. It is teaching your children that a glowing rectangle is more important than they are. You must model the behavior that you want to see. When you are with your kids, put your phone away. In another room, on silent, be present. Look them in the eye. Let them see that you are the master of your technology, not its slave. Number 2 is create a screen time rulebook. Your home needs a clear, simple, and non-negotiable set of rules around screens. These are not suggestions. They are the law of your kingdom, and you, the father, are the chief enforcer. So here are some rules to get you started with this screen time rulebook. You could do no screens at the dinner table, ever. Meal times are for connection and conversation. Good luck with that one. No screens in the bedroom. This is a good one. Bedrooms are for sleeping and reading books and winding down. You could even enforce a daily time limit, which I know is popular. So for young children, this might be 30 to 60 minutes a day. For older children, it might be 90 minutes. Use the parental controls on the device to enforce this automatically, or you can download apps. When the time is up, no negotiating. Screens are a privilege, not a right, and that's what everyone needs to realize. They are earned through the completion of responsibilities. So you could say, you can have your screen time after you have finished your homework, after you have tidied your room, and after you've played outside for 30 minutes. Step 3 is embrace the boredom. When you first implement these rules, your children will complain. They will tell you they are bored, and your response should be, good. Boredom is not a problem to be solved. It is a state to be embraced. It is the space of boredom that creativity is born. It is when a child has nothing to do that he is forced, or she is forced to invent something to do, to build a fort, to draw a picture, to turn to their Lego, to imagine a new world. So do not be afraid of your child's boredom. It is a gift and it will allow them to develop. Your house should be filled with alternatives to screens. Books, Lego, art supplies, crafts, board games, musical instruments, exercise equipment, child safe, obviously. And your job is to create an environment that is richer and more interesting than the digital world. And step 4, schedule real-world adventure. You must be the leader of your family's fun. You must be the one who provides experiences that are more compelling than a screen. So plan a weekly adventure day. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. A hike in the woods, a trip to the beach, a visit to a museum, a family bike ride. You must intentionally create a life for your family that is so full of real-world connection and adventure that the digital world pales in comparison. Now, this is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires you to fight against the current of modern culture, and it requires you to be the bad guy sometimes. But this is the fight for your children's minds and their futures. It is a fight that we as fathers cannot afford to lose. Quick episode. Hope you've enjoyed that one. Thanks for tuning in. And your mission this week is to conduct a screen time audit. Be honest. How much time are you spending on your phone? How much time are your kids spending on their devices? And the numbers will probably shock you. And then your mission is to implement one rule from the rule book. My recommendation, no phones at the dinner table. Start there. Reclaim that sacred space for connection as a family in the evening. As always, if you know a dad who is worried about his kids' screen time, who feels like he's losing them to the digital world, then send him this episode. It's potentially the battle plan that he needs. And always remember, brother, the best gift that you can give your child is your undivided presence. So don't let a screen steal it from them. Until next time, strength and honor.